Hello there, my name is Ismail. So today we're going to be looking at how to create this cabin in the wood scene in Blender 2.8, and yeah, let's get down to it. So the first thing I'll do is model these different parts separately and then add them together later. So I'll model the walls separately and then the roof separately instead of making the entire thing all at once. That will make it easy for me, and I will also have better control over my scene. So let me remove these annotations and get started. So I'll start with making this wall here. So I'll start by adding a circle, line to view. So I'll just use, I think, 8. Let's try. Yeah, I think 8 vertices are enough for this here. So I'll rotate. And what I want to do is, you can see between these different logs, there is some kind of adhesive or cement or concrete in between the different logs that is keeping them together. So to do that, I will, I think, rotate this about 20 degrees so that this flat bottom, so that this flat area is at the bottom, and I can use the array modifier, apply rotation, and this should be in this direction, in the Z direction, and all these should be 0. So maybe duplicate this a few times. I can scale this down to the size of the logs, maybe something like that. And then I can go to edit mode, fill that in, and then extrude like that. And see, we have our log. So to add the adhesive or cement in between, I can apply the array, remove doubles. So where is remove doubles? Increase these vertices, vertex count, my distance, and we should have some vertices first between every log, but we need to delete that. Just leave the top ones like that, and now we have something like this. So if we add a subdivision surface, you see we have something like that, and we can also add supporting loops like that. So when we add that, when we add the subdivision surface, it doesn't collapse on its own, on itself, and we can also add some supporting loops for the adhesive. So we can bevel this, maybe add another loop like that, so that we have something of this sort. But I doubt we'll be using a subdivision surface on this because we want to keep a low polygon count. So if you look at the different logs, they're not really evenly distributed, and they don't have the same size. So you can come in between here. You can come and select every different logs and scale them down just to give some variation in the logs. So maybe make this a bit bigger. Something like that. We can rotate this 90 degrees, and we can extend this to be the length we want, maybe something like that. So this is not bad for our first log, and we can come in and start adding some UVs. So I'll select this part here, Control E, maxim, select, I can just select this like that. I hit U to unwrap, and go to UV editing, and then UV mark seams from island. Now if I unwrap again, did it work? It should have worked. So I select this, hit unwrap, and then UV seams from island, so that it marks a seam like that, and then unwrap. Yeah, so it works. I can select that there, unwrap, and I think we have our log. So we can go to shading, new material, and start texturing. So D, I'll go to my textures. Let's see if I can find something that would work for our log. Let me try using this. I need this rotated, so I can rotate these UVs 90 degrees. Let's go to textured mode. You can see, but the problem is this texture is a bit dark for my liking, so I'll come in here, add a convert color ramp, give this some bit of contrast, something like that, and I'll give this color, change this color to, I'll sample maybe that area, add another, maybe select this node here, also some a brighter color, and for this here, sample another color, sometimes playing with these with this is a bit difficult, but yeah, I think that's good enough. Let's see. I think that looks good. If you want to add in more details, you can even come in, add another node here. So we have something like that. You can come in here, turn on the ambient occlusion and screen space reflections, so that I'm able to use the ambient occlusion node. I will mix it with a mix RGB node. So if we preview this node here, you can see what the ambient occlusion looks like. So I can come into inputs and then, convert color ramp, so that I have more control over the ambient occlusion. Maybe push it a bit more, like that, and connect that as that, multiply it over our log like that. Just to add more variation and more detail to our log, I'll find another texture that has more high frequency detail, maybe something like this. Let me see. So this one doesn't really have that high frequency details, but I think it should, but it doesn't really matter that much, as it's just going to be to add a few more details to our log. Oh, let me try finding something else with more high frequency details. I don't think I have anything that good. Anyway, let's just use this. I need to scale it down, so add the mapping to texture coordinates, maybe something like that. Instead of using UV, I'll use object and change this to box. Scale it up a bit so that they're not too tiled. And the reason I want to use object mapping instead of the UV, because it gives you this blending mode that will let you eliminate those seams. It will not remove all the seams, but it will remove a good amount of them. So we need to blend this with this node here, with this texture here. So I can add a color mix RGB, connect this down here. Let me make sure I'm saving. So we can choose a different, and see it's adding some details in there. Let's try screen. Now let's try overlay. So without it, it looks like that. And when we connect this to the ambient occlusion, we get that. Let's try overlay. I don't want it to overpower our object, but I also don't like that seam here. So let me try back using the UV again. And maybe rotate this in. Yes, something like that I think is okay. And I think I can reduce on the amount. It's just giving us a bit of detail that we don't have from this texture. Now we can connect this to the color base, and this is what we have so far. Actually, it should be this node here that is connected to the color base, to the base color. But it's too shiny, so we need a roughness map to control the shininess. So I'll just use the color from this and convert it using the color ramp. So this is what our roughness map looks like, but I think this is will look too shiny, so I need to give it a bit more contrast and even make it a bit brighter. But let me first see how this looks. So if we connect this to the roughness, preview this, and see it's too shiny, but we need to give it a bit more contrast. I also think we need to invert this map color, so that the shiny areas are rough and the rough areas are shiny. So this is what we should have. It shouldn't be that shiny. I think this is not bad. So again, we can use this as our bump map. So vector bump, connect this to the height, and then connect this to the normal to have something like this. But we need to reduce the strength, maybe to 0.1, 1.5. 5.2. Something like that. I think we need to add the adhesive or texture, this texture here, also mix it with this here. And what we are going to do is use the ambient occlusion to create a mask for that adhesive. So we can add a car ramp, convert car ramp. So this should look something like that. You know, before we do that, let's try a different approach. If we try using a gradient mixture, let's see if that would work. So if we try using something like input texture gradient, let's see how that would look, because it also gives you that kind of pattern. The problem is how you would control that pattern. It's actually not that bad. Let me see if I duplicate this, if it will still be the same. Problem is that it's not the same on this side. So what we can do is again duplicate this, use the same and give it some texture coordinate mapping, and we need to invert this. So if we tried inverting it here, flip, I need to preview this. So if I flip this, yeah, we get the same. So we don't even need this texture mapping. So we just need this here. But inverted, flip, car ramp, so that we have this and that. And now we need to mix these two. So with color, mix RGB. So we just need to set this to multiply. Yeah, multiply. Need to make the middle part brighter. So those white areas will be where the concrete goes, but we don't want it to be too sharp like that. We need it to be a bit rough, so we can add a texture, noise texture. Let me preview how this would look. We'll also decrease the scale, maybe increase or decrease, then add a car ramp, so that we have control over the contrast, something like rough as that. And if we duplicate this node, connect this with this, we can play around with the different blending mode to see if we can find something that gives us what we want. So subtract, actually that is not too bad. Let's try multiply, let's try difference. Now let's try screen. Let's invert these two and see how that looks. Maybe we can reduce on the scale. Let's try multiply. We just want some rough edges. It's sometimes a struggle to get that, so let's see. Maybe that won't be that bad. So we can now create a concrete texture, a concrete shader, and I will mix the two using the mask we have just created. So we'll look at that in part 2.